And just like that, we're live. We had a few technical difficulties, but we are here. I'm very excited, as always. Actually, the first guest to have been back on the show, so to speak, for the third time, Pavel Dudko, who's a generative artist, an artist with us at Gamma partner, Gamma artist ambassador, just an ambassador really for the generative art space, and definitely a name that everyone has heard on Bitcoin. I'm hoping everybody owns a Pavel. I've made posts like that before. Not financial advice and all that, but, in terms of just like really unique and quality generative art, Pavel, like I've told you in person, I've told you publicly, I think that your art really stands out, your process, what you create, the uniqueness of it. For example, from Grailstone to your prints that you've put out over time, to Polyphos, which was an amazing exploration into the, using special sats as recursive endpoints. The list goes on, but we're here to talk about Noema. But of course, it's certainly important to reflect on all of that. But after that mouthful, how are you, Pavel?
Hey, thanks for having me, and thanks for introduction. I'm good, thank you very much. Excited to be here and excited to talk about what's coming.
How's the process been? You've now been creating art on Bitcoin pretty much from the start. So that's, I guess, the beginning of 2023. We're almost in 2026. Talk to us about the journey. How have you found it? How everyone's saying ordinals are dead and this and that. And you and I have like poked fun at that. We've poked fun at obviously people talking about floor price and all of those metrics, which really don't need to come into things short term or even medium term or even long term. Really, when it comes to art, you're an artist first and foremost. Yeah, just give us a bit of a lay of the land. Pavel Dudko on Bitcoin at the moment.
So when I found ordinals, it felt really exciting because ordinals felt like something completely different. And to this day, I still think so. I still think that there's something special about this medium, about this format of storing and creating. Actually, storing and creating. This is important. That these two things: art, digital art, that is somehow connected. Not only stored but also connected to the blockchain. So we're growing here. I think ordinals are different in a way. It might not be so visible from collector's point of view if you focus only on the asset. Like if you're thinking, like price wise, market wise, then obviously there's a JPEG on chain, something right-click save and all that stuff. But from creator's point of view or from artist's point of view, when you start diving into the technology behind it, it's really, really something else. First thing would be that art is connected actually to the pieces of Bitcoin itself. So when you own it, you own a piece of Bitcoin and an artwork on it, connected to it. You need to transfer these two things, and it feels, in a way, more organic, more. I know it might sound different or weird. It feels more physical, actually, because you're not transferring a smart contract, a token, or something. You're transferring actually an asset, a part of Bitcoin, a Satoshi, right? And there's an artwork on it. It's like, I don't know, exchanging canvases, exchanging prints, exchanging sculptures, objects, whatever. So to me, this part of ordinals, that it's very, very exciting. And as you said, I really enjoyed over this. It's really almost 3 years. That's crazy. That's really crazy. I really enjoyed exploring the protocol and what it offers. What are the special idiosyncrasies of it, like Satoshi's, like connection to the blockchain, connection to the data, maybe not visualizing data per se, but somehow using it to affect on the artwork, on the final output. Yeah,
and it's really fascinating. I did have a mind blank when I was talking about your prints. It's the mycelioid series, which is quite deep now. I'm not sure which number you're up to. I know that there was one released recently. I'm not sure if you've been counting them. And I've also noticed, that some Rays have passed hands lately, that some Memflux has passed hands lately. Like, you really have put some incredible work on Bitcoin. How does it feel when you notice that, a collection that you've inscribed, minted, put on chain quite some time ago is still being, collected and traded, and still, people still finding it exciting?
I think that's amazing feeling, because to me, before I entered on-chain ecosystem, on-chain scene, even like NFT scene in general, my artworks were mostly like displayed, exhibited in various places during exhibitions, festivals, projects, in public spaces, but I didn't have much experience with collectors. Of course, some people collected certain artworks that were more or less displayable, because let's face it, not every installation can be collected, right? Or displayed in a, let's say, even at home or in your apartment. But right now, having so many collectors who are very supportive, who share their feedback, who give me advice, many of them actually think deeply of the works, and I'm really glad to know that it resonates with them. So yeah, it's like a brand new world.
Yeah, and I've noticed that. I think that you've galvanized a really passionate community, and I know that that can be a hard thing to do. So, hats off on that. And you have your Discord, but, it's not the only place where you obviously reside or where people can contact you. How have you found that? I know we're sort of like, we'll get to Noema, of course, that's the star of the show, but how have you found the challenge of being let's call it, I kind of hate this expression, but like an artist in Web3? It is very different to just the trad space, for example. And there's been a lot of talk lately about like, should they mix? Should they not? I, of course, think that they should mix. But that aside, yeah, like, talk to me about having a community and having people like Hando Punk, for example, just as a name that jumps out at me, who is such an amazing advocate for you.
Oh yeah, Hando is absolutely a gem. I know this is like a common overused word, but he is one. He is one. He's so supportive, and his comments are often very, very thoughtful. Well, being an artist in Web3, well, actually, it was a journey, and it still is and will be a journey, I believe, because when I entered the space, when I entered the space in 2021 with my first releases on art blocks, it was mostly like anonymous collectors who just collected my works, and I didn't have any connection to them, any real connection. Of course, some people reached out to me. I had some very nice feedback, like, hey, I'm just entering NFT space and I have ancestors from Poland. I saw your drop on art blocks, and I'm glad to say that my first collected NFT is from you to honor my ancestry. So yeah, there were things like this which were beautiful, and I still remember them, obviously. But it comes and goes. It can be very humbling. It can be very exciting. I think it's like the feelings are all over the place during. I'm talking about this whole long period of my presence in the space. In general, right now, I'm thinking more that I'm an artist first.
Mm-hmm.
I choose to create on blockchain. I choose to use blockchain. I choose to use this medium. But whenever I have an opportunity, I would love to dive in a little into some physicals that I used to do way more than now. Hopefully that comes soon. And yeah, then I don't know what's the connection with physicals and blockchain, if it will work. If I'm doing physicals, and could I call myself a Web3 artist or not? I think it's just the labels. I mean, art is art.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that that's the conclusion that I was obviously not like necessarily trying to lead you to, but I'm not surprised that you got there. You're an artist first and foremost, and I think that that's such an important thing for people to just understand in general. But not just you're an artist first and foremost, but you've been an incredible. Like I use this word and shout out to Andrea Bologna, another wonderful artist as well. But you've been a guru, you've been a massive like teacher or maestro or guide, if you like, for a lot of artists who have wanted to learn how to do various things. You've published incredible docs and information on long form minting on Bitcoin. Talk to us about your teaching side, because I can tell that passion comes out in you as well.
Oh yes, of course. So I've been working in academia at the university for almost a decade, and it's been an amazing journey. It's really how to call it? It keeps you fresh. And students come with a lot of ideas, a lot of fresh, brand new ideas. So it's not they don't allow you to like stay in your own bubble. Like, okay, of course you have with time you gain some experience, you gain some thoughts, some ideas, but it has to develop. You have to confront it with something new that's coming. And to me, it's precious experience, and it's similar with other artists. So when they come with their questions, with their concerns, it really sometimes it's very demanding, because I don't like to say I can't do it or you can't do it. Let's try it. Let's find a way or something like that. Of course, sometimes some things are impossible because of I don't know, in terms of ordinals, because of protocol. It's sandbox, so you can't reach certain APIs and stuff. But in general, I like to work with them to find a way to make something happen.
And how have you found that that's potentially impacted you, or taught you things about the way you go about your own art?
I don't know if it affected my art this much, but for sure it affected my technical skills. Because some artists came with their own solutions that I wouldn't think of, and somehow they got incorporated in my own practice.
Yeah, it's quite interesting. And you touched on it earlier about how Bitcoin and there's on-chain art on ETH, an amazing generative on-chain art on ETH. But reflecting and referring to Bitcoin art here, there are some, like unique aspects. Like you said, it's, the art is tied to a Satoshi, but beyond that, there's these recursive endpoints, which I'll, for people who are watching or listening and don't know what they are, I'll let you explain that. But essentially, ways in which you can use various aspects or data on the blockchain to change the work or have the work be dynamic. And you've used a lot of that. You've really, dived deep into, block height or mempool congestion or, rare Satoshis, for example. I know that there's been a few others, but yeah, talk to us about that and how that, has also inspired you to, and in the way in which you create and to implement it into different, some of your prints and some of your long form collections.
So that actually has been a huge dream of mine since I learned about blockchain and since I entered the blockchain space as a generative artist. And when I was because in 2023 I actually moved out from Poland to another country, and that was the time when my goal was okay, I'm going to learn how to write smart contracts on Ethereum because I need this. I need to my work to be more bond to blockchain, closer to it, react to it. And well, things happened. I learned about ordinals and started creating there. And very soon recursive endpoints were introduced to ordinals, and I started using them, working with them. And well, I would say that recursive endpoints similar to ordinals are much easier to apply, especially for beginners, than writing your own smart contract, which there are a lot of moving pieces. You need to really take care of many things in recursive endpoint, it's fairly simple. You basically, how not to get too nerdy, you just...
No, you can get nerdy, it's okay.
No, I'll try to keep it simple. I mean, basically, you just ask with your code, hey, here's some data, give me this data, right? And then maybe you ask a couple times or a couple hundred times or something like that. But yeah, it gives us a lot of, us as artists, it gives us a lot of opportunities. So as you said, one of my artworks that was utilizing recursion was elapsed, and actually this artwork had like two personalities. One personality was both personalities were anticipating the coming block. One personality was going more excited, more just the animation went faster. The longer the time elapsed since the block happened, and the other was like calming down, more introspective. Basically this way. So I think that's one way. You just react to the blockchain. You find some meaning in it. You just play with it. Well, as you said, as you mentioned, polyphos. So there we use a very Bitcoin native thing. So rare or special satoshis that there were. The outputs depended on what actually collectors decided to use. Right? There were some tables, spreadsheets, which special Satoshi gives which trades and at what probability percentage, and based on that you could anticipate what will come. Obviously, it wasn't curated. You couldn't choose a particular output, but you could play with your chances.
Yeah, which people had so much fun doing, and it created so many unique outputs. You've recently been curated to be showcased at the Inscribing Miami Ultra Shows event for Polyphos. It's been showcased elsewhere, at other events as well. It must be quite special, to be recognized in that way.
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. I'm very, very surprised and very honored that Polyphos gets so much recognition. And I'm really happy that it was a release with Gamma for Winter Pass, right? It was Winter Pass.
Yeah, it was awesome.
It was almost a year ago. Because I think it was January or February, something like this, 2025. So it's been almost a year since Polyphos launched, and I really, really remember like yesterday.
Yeah, look, I've posted about it. I people need to spend time with it and actually, look through, have a look at the sats that people use, and look at all the incredible outputs. It's a funny one. I might actually, it's a nice little segue. I'm going to pull up your website, and it's about, we can reflect on just your thoughts and feelings in regards to like. Again, like people spending time and slowing down and, listening, to this conversation, for example. We can see your website. I'm a huge advocate, as you know, for collectors or people interested to actually visit an artist's website, for the artists that do put the effort and energy into creating their website. Because obviously at Gamma, we put a huge amount of effort into ensuring that it's a really beautiful UI for people visiting and finding creators' profiles. They can go to type in Paweł Dudko and have a look at all your work, and obviously navigate there through your collections and whatnot, and have it, displayed in a really, I guess, elegant way. But to dig deeper, click on the artist profile and click into their website and visit it. And, I won't click through, but there's a lot to explore here, including all of your collections. Talk to us about why you create a website, and I guess anything that you want to expand on there.
Why I created a website? Because at some points I thought like you need. Artist needs a website. I think that's mandatory, because this is like your piece of internet that you own, and you can put there whatever you want, however you want. You choose your level of compression of your videos, right, or of your images. If you want to display, if you want art collectors or viewers to see, I don't know, 8K, 10K, 20K image or video, you can do it. I don't know if their devices will handle it, but you can do it for sure.
Yeah.
There are a lot of trouble with social media where compression kills the detail of the work. I think I recently posted artificials video of artificials work, and well, Twitter absolutely like killed the noise that is there, and that adds so much to it. So yeah, when you have your website, you can do it your way. And for the artist, it's also an archive. So whenever I need to come back into to something and check something, I just can open my website and it's there. It's there cataloged to a degree. I have some. I have my artworks, I have the story there. So for example, mycelioid tab, it has all of the mycelioid outputs of mycelioid prints in chronological order. So I don't need to check for, I don't know, like look for it on Twitter or something, but just scroll down and there's even a list with release dates. So often these dates come very handy. And one more thing, if any artists are watching this, things like press are, I have this tab called named press. It's actually really helpful because, well, I'm a little behind, so forgive me
That's okay.
with updating it, but it's very, very helpful to keep up to date with your, with what you have done with releases, talks, exhibitions, showcases, whatever it is. Just I just put it there, not to brag about it, but to keep it as a record.
Yeah, I think that's a really nice way to say it. It is a great record, and people can dig deeper. Like obviously, you can go there and really immerse yourself in your timeline, like everything you've been up to. Interviews that you've given. It's a great thing for people to be able to stop and listen to. When they've got time. Explore your other collections, explore the artwork that you've put on other chains. To see your whole body of work, so to speak. I guess there might not be that much more to share about that, but maybe on that note, and that's why we've recently finally we've migrated to the new site at Gamma. Your artist profile has your full body of work on Bitcoin. Yeah, like how do you feel when you sort of like reflect on your whole body of work, and I guess like how it interrelates with each other?
I've been thinking about it lately a lot, I must say, and that's where that's actually part of the reason why Noema was born. And well, I like to see the development, how it all developed from the first single experiments, from the first simple experiments with more advanced approaches. That's basically it. It's really, I feel like I've went a long way. I mean, I'm definitely not stopping, because to me it gets even more exciting to see what's possible, what's ahead of me. But yeah, as we talked earlier, it's been 3 years, so there's been a tremendous amount of work in ordinals, on ordinals, with ordinals, and I'm just looking forward to see what's out there waiting for me.
For sure. And, one thing I've noticed, hopefully if people don't follow you on Twitter, X, they should, at Pavel Dudko. But, you've been putting, I guess, a lot more, for lack of a better expression, detail in your posts. They seem to be a lot more reflective, a lot more retrospective. You're putting that information out there, telling your story. Tell us about that.
I've started creating Noema about like the first sketches, first like more serious approach happened in July this year. So it's been quite a while since like the first outputs were published, and the first drafts of the algorithm go back to 2024. So it's been brewing, it's been maturing for a long, long time. And during this time, I had a lot of thoughts. And, well, we all know the markets are down, everybody's depressed, we're all in red. Hopefully, hopefully and luckily, the art is colorful, so that makes the mood better. But this is also a good time because there's very little noise. And I realized that I can share more insights, and probably it will get through, and people who are interested in this will spend time and not only think of the artwork or the release as yet another project on Bitcoin, but actually as a witness of a process that happens, and will happen. Because to me, Noema is about a process, very internal process on multiple levels. So while I was working, I took some notes, and now I try to arrange them and publish them as some thoughts on different topics related to the artwork.
Yeah, I've thoroughly enjoyed seeing you express yourself more on X. So, I implore you to continue doing it. This is a very special one for a number of reasons. First off, it's going to be showcased, exhibited. It's a solo show with Suburbs Gallery in Montreal, in Canada. So I'll just pull up their website. But yeah, talk to us about that and when, when that opportunity was presented to you.
That opportunity was presented by you, and I was so excited. This is true. This is true, and I'm grateful, and I'm very happy that it happened, that you did it, because I certainly didn't want to release Noema as in the form of yet another drop, whatever platform, whatever the situation. I wanted it to be more reflective, actually. Something that would make people reflect a little, stop a little, think, look. I tried to do it with many works, but I think it became somewhat essential in this series. And when you offered me the let's try it, let's see if it works, let's see what happens, I was really excited because that was a perfect fit to start the how to call it, like the premiering the artworks or disseminating them with an exhibition. It felt like just the right thing to do, and I'm really grateful for it, so thank you very much.
Look, it's a true pleasure. I just got to give a shout out to the team at Suburbs Gallery. If you want to learn more about them, head to suburbsgallery.com. We can see, and you can have a look at, everything that they've done, and they've put you on their homepage, and it's looking beautiful. And we're going to see more from them as the week goes on as well. They display art really well. We were lucky enough to work with Baku, who leads Suburbs Gallery, who's also an amazing artist in her own right, but showcasing a collection called Montreal, funnily enough, with Lemon Haze. So it's brilliant to bring you and this collection, through Suburbs Gallery and then onto Gamma as well.
Absolutely. It was a pleasure to work with Baku and Suburbs Gallery. Really, really professional and seamless. Yeah, that's the word.
I think professional and seamless is a very lovely way to explain it. Yeah, I'm looking forward to people seeing just how wonderful the artwork looks. Let's hop to it. I'll pull it up. It's been on Gamma for a little while, so if anyone has had a keen eye, they would have been able to go and explore the collection. So we can see here Noema by Pavel Dudko, and we can have, I guess we won't read this out, but you can talk us through what we're going to sort of like the collection and what we'd expect in this description. We can see 7 pieces, I believe. Yep. All very unique. They are all one of ones, which is quite a change of pace, if you like, for you, when a lot of, or if not all, your work thus far, obviously prints being different, being editions, but has been long form.
Yes, so this is a different approach to my work. where to start? So let's start with one-on-ones and
Yeah.
generative. So in this case, all the outputs are curated. Sometimes it's said that it's a generative project, but the outputs are curated. In this case, the outputs are not only curated but also like manually adjusted. So every inscription contains like a full code of the artwork. There are some obviously recursive calls to other resources, but these resources are libraries, some image data, and so on and so on. But the code for the artwork, the outputs are very individual. So when I was working on them, I realized that there are so many ways I could work with the algorithm, and so many ways that I could enhance it over time. So I started basically this idea with my silhouette prints. My silhouette prints were thought as a year-long project that got a bit delayed, that I will experiment with the same algorithm, but in a new way. With Noema, I went a little bit different route. So I'm working on one algorithm, but working on it like constantly and just saving the outputs that I enjoy, that are special to me, that I like. And I'm saving them. I'm not coming back to them. So there, I'm just hoarding some artworks, and well, okay, I'll get nerdy. So I'm saving like a whole artwork, the whole code for each of the pieces. And then it stays as a separate HTML file with some thumbnail next to it, and it waits there for I don't know, month, 2, 3 before I come back to them, because I realized that how impactful is on the process when you let the artwork mature, when you let the artwork breathe a little, and then after this time, the some excitement, some ideas, some thoughts that we thought were, oh, that's so clever, I have to incorporate that, this is so great. After this time, it distills to the essence. Like maybe some gimmicks, maybe some tricks that, or even like how to properly express it, like self-satisfaction, because I achieved something that I couldn't before, so now I love it and I want to show it the world. After 3 months it fades, and what remains is the core idea. So Noema is really a series that is going through this whole process. It's maturing, it's distilling, and I think the outputs that are, as you can also see, they are very, very different. And they come. Let me see if they are. No, they're not in chronological order, but
we'll have to get them named, and we can sort that out.
Well, there is metadata on chain,
yeah,
but I called majority of them untitled. There are, I think, 2 so far that have titles.
Yeah, and people can obviously explore it on chain. It's all inscribed using parent-child, and it all has metadata on chain with it. So I always encourage people to check the chain. We kind of like, it's a bit of a cliche call, but the alpha is definitely on chain. If people were watching the Explorer, they might have even seen these going live. I know that I spotted them when they were sneaking through. Yeah, do you know what's funny? So again, we've spoken about this, but that's why we're having this live stream, so more people can learn. I looked at these and I said, they look like Paweł Dudko's. They remind me of your work and other work, but obviously like still very different, very unique, still like a lot of play with light and movement. But yeah, each one a true one of one in its own right. And I know that you did just, I guess, comment on that, but I'd love for you to elaborate on it further. Compared to creating an algorithm, not downplaying how hard this must be, that then obviously produces a large number of outputs, these are their own unique pieces of code. And to create such a unique series of 7. I know Hando Punk keeps asking if it's only 7, so I'll let you comment on that or not. But yeah, like, you know, we look at this, there's a cohesion, but they're still very distinct.
Yes, and the process of working on them included a lot of changes and a lot of development. I don't know how much do I want to tell now, how much beans I want to spill, but yes, the algorithm was changing, and I created myself this workflow to make it as seamless as possible. So when I like something, I want to save it, preserve it for the future, to come back to it and decide if it's good, if I want to release it or not. Also, well, there were situations. Let me put it this way: I have a folder with artworks that are gone forever. I mean, I have images that I saved, but for some reason I didn't save HTML files. I didn't save the code, and the code over the period changed so much that even though I have the seed, I have the image or even the video, I couldn't recreate them. So I love them. There are also pieces that I would love to be here in this collection, but I'm sorry, I mean, it's lost. And this is also a part of the process, right? Some of the artworks survive, some others don't. Well, to answer Hando's question, this is the first chapter, the first part of Noema. My goal is to limit the collection to maximum of 64 artworks, but I'm setting this in stone that this is the maximum amount. But will it be 64? I don't know yet. I don't want to determine it that, okay, I need to have 64 and that's it. Maybe it will be 32, maybe it will be, I don't know, 56 or something. I will just go with the process and see where it gets me.
Yeah, and that's fascinating. And obviously I love that. I think that, you know, you've set that max, but who knows? And who knows, like, over time or when you'll even potentially do it. The first 7 are obviously going to be very special because they're the first ones in the collection, not taking away from obviously anything that we might see in the future. I know that you've touched on this before, and obviously with a background with 3D printing and photography and whatnot, and that's where a lot of perhaps your love for the use of light has come from in your work. But yeah, if you want to touch on that, because I know you and I know these stories, but for people who don't know you, yeah, like obviously you don't have to give everything away because people need to come to their own conclusions when they look at art. But yeah, I guess we can see those elements in this collection.
So in Noema, I really wanted to. Maybe let me start over. When I was thinking of this collection, I had some images in my mind that I wanted to not maybe recreate them directly, but recreate the feeling that comes with it. And this is where the title for the collection is. It's not about the image, but about how this image makes us feel, how we perceive this image. So this is kind of philosophical, a little bit phenomenological, but yeah, I think light is something very natural to me. I guess every artist, that when they start learning to draw, to sketch or paint, the first still lifes are very often nicely lit. I remember my first drawing lessons and the teachers, masters, like manipulating lights and lamps, doing some, I don't know, like light cones to light the still life properly. And then everybody was sitting around and drawing or painting them and so on. And that fascination of lights also comes for me from photography. Photography, as I often say, was the first of my first art medium that I loved very, very early. And at some point when I had the opportunity, I explored it more technically. That's also something I do. I was taking photos, then I discovered analog photography because I started with digital. I went analog, and then obviously, okay, there's analog, there's this process. I need to break it into pieces. Okay, so playing with chemistry, playing with developers, and so on with photosynthetic papers, photosensitive papers. Yeah, and light just comes naturally, basically.
Yeah, that's a different angle that I haven't heard you explain. I love that you said how it really is up to the viewer and how they want to perceive or interpret it. You probably remember what I said. Like I've haven't gone for a scuba dive in a long time, and I clearly haven't scuba dived as deep as you'd need to dive to see things like this. But I said it almost takes me personally to like a real deep sea dive, things that you might not see, like a little bit of a, like almost like alien kind of those, like a phosphorescent kind of like light filled creatures. And I love it. And I showed my kids this collection, and kids are always brutally honest in a good way, actually. Mm-hmm. And they were entranced. They absolutely loved it. So that's a tip of the cap, but you can really just keep looking at it. Like I it's been up on the screen this whole time, and it in a good way. It's so distracting. You can just keep watching this movement and this light, and that's quite fascinating. Tell me, how often do you sit with your own art? Like, you said you left it and then you came back to it. What drew you to, I guess, these first 7?
How often do I sit with my own art? I posted recently a tweet about polyphos. I needed, actually it was preparing for Miami, recording some artworks, and I set up this little portable display vertically to record them better and stuff. And I was really surprised, really amazed how good it felt to see it full screen. Even though it's tiny, it's like 15, 16 inches, but it's like, wow, okay, this is so different. I should do that more often. I don't have an extra display. I don't have space right now for an extra display. I really hope it changes soon, that I will be able to arrange my own like working studio. And then I would love to display art more and look at it. But yeah, I will keep with this this regime of not coming back to the artwork too often. I mean, the same artwork, because it's really time is a magnificent tool in artists' tool bag, in artists' workshop. It gives so much perspective. It changes so much. Everything that I create, I want it to have a meaning, right? I have also a set of my own ideas. I have a set of my own thoughts about it. But as we talked about when you asked me about the journey in Web3, right? So there were obviously some things or some patterns that I followed about the drops, about the releases. Things like, for example, don't go too elaborate, people won't read that. Don't be philosophical, write about your, I don't know, pain, wins, loses or something, because people love that. Try to create some drama, that's a good selling point, and so on and so on. Okay, I hate drama, so I didn't do that one. But obviously I tried to, maybe not tried, but I tried to reduce some of my works, like not to go too elaborate with a description, not to go too in-depth or too academic. And also the fact was that I was trying to express myself in English. And while I think my English is pretty decent as we're talking right now, when it comes to expressing like deeper thoughts and more nuanced things, it's a bit more difficult. It's a bit more difficult because I don't feel such weight of a word in English as I do in Polish, in my native language, right? In Polish, I really was trained to watch out for words. When I was doing my PhD, my supervisor was very particular about that. So if you're using the word nature, do you mean nature as a nature outside of the nature of the thing, and so on and so on? So I was like very, very particular. And this time I started to actually write in Polish, take notes in Polish or English, whichever felt right in that moment. And then when I was translating it or writing this post, luckily I had some help from AIs that helped me to find the better terms. Because sometimes I know what I want to say, what I want to say. I know how I want it to sound. I know what the feeling should be, but I just can't remember the words, so I probably use something else. Yeah, does that make sense?
That does make a lot of sense, and it's quite interesting, really, thinking about the global nature of this space and how, you're expressing it. Well, I think you're expressing yourself immaculately in English, but just how it must be quite the challenge, I guess, when it's not your native language, and you I guess typically you need to write about this stuff in English. We saw your website was in English. Coding is a whole language in itself. Do you feel like you express yourself through your code as well?
Oh yes, of course. Yes. I'm still struggling with this thought if I should release my artworks like minimized or should I release like a whole code. But when I see my files pre-minification, there's definitely I think coders, people who know how you write code could immediately say, oh, okay, I know that's him. I know that's him because I use some weird structures. I use some weird solutions that are basically some of them I developed only for ordinals because they don't make sense anywhere else. If I was making a website, I wouldn't use them at all. But for ordinals and for my generative art, it makes sense, and there is some expression, definitely. Like, so code becomes partially a part of an artwork, but then it gets a little bit crushed with minification. On the other hand, minification, so making the code as small as possible, is also like how it should be for the chain. Like, that's how the chain wants it to be because it's the smallest. That's how I feel about it. So to me, it's always it's still a struggle that I haven't, and a question I haven't found an answer to.
Interesting. And and then you made reference in the description to perception, which I feel like is an interesting, add on to what you're just talking about. And so, like, do you think about the way in which your artwork might be perceived, or do you think about your own perception and obviously that you just find it visually appealing too?
I'm thinking about my own perception and how people could perceive it. I hope that these images that we're seeing now, or these animations, these artworks that we're seeing now, will be somehow completed within the viewers, within the beholders. So my whole body of work is more or less pretty much blurry, undefined, soft, and I would love to even hear if somebody has such thoughts, like please comment or DM me or pop in the Discord, whatever, just share your thoughts, because this is very, very, very precious to know if the artwork resonates, or what do you see, how do you feel about it. I think the perception would also vary a lot depending on where and how you see it, because some of these works might look very good on mobiles, on small screens. Others, like the one on the right, this pulsing, this one. I believe this one was displayed in Shenzhen on a huge, huge screen. In horizontal, but still. So it depends on what you. It can depend on what you see, how the context, how the scale of the display would determine and define what it seems to be, right?
Yeah, I forgot that this one was displayed in Shenzhen. That was really cool. And now obviously it's going to be, exhibited at Suburbs Gallery, and I've seen some of the videos and the screenshots. They look really beautiful. That must be a challenge as well when you're creating, to know that people are going to look at them on different devices, different desktop sizes, different, I guess, monitor sizes and things like that. How does that come into the way in which obviously you need to think about display when you're creating, and I guess then what gets inscribed and then how it will show up? Because I know that there are challenges, particularly with code, on is it going to crash the page, just for example, is it going to work on a certain browser? There's so many nuances.
Oh, of course. So my current approach is that I want to focus on what I can control. So when I'm invited for an exhibition, for a show, or I do one on my own, or I display it on my website, these are the environments I control, or I can control to a degree, and then I can find the best way, in my opinion, in my perception, how to display it, how to show it, to focus on the most essential thing. When it's displayed during, I don't know, a larger showcase, of course, we have a limited influence on how it's going to look, how it's going to be displayed, but also what the surroundings would be, what the context would be, right? Because, for example, which work and how would they work, or which artwork how would work in a very busy, like a concert environment. The context, the perception changes a lot ultimately, right? So I try to do my code to be as responsive as possible. So I want it to be perceived on majority of devices. I don't say all, because some of my works are really hardware hungry. But I'm very, very happy that Noema displays, at least the first chapter displays fully on Gamma, with no stuttering. It's really nice to see all 7 pieces neatly animating.
Yeah, I completely agree. It is wonderful. I've been flicking through them individually, but it is so lovely to see them as a series, rendering live off the chain. It's quite a beautiful thing, and I'm glad that you love the way in which they're shown on Gamma. Is there anything that I haven't asked you about Noema that you'd like to share? Anything extra? It's been a brilliant deep dive. Time has flown. We're almost coming up to an hour, but yeah, I'd hate to leave anything out if there's anything that you'd planned on sharing.
I believe there's plenty I want to share, but I also don't want to make it last too long. So yeah, I would say stay tuned, because there are definitely more details coming, and the collection the collection will be growing, maturing, developing, and I'm very excited for the exhibition in Suburbs.
Yeah, so am I. And the auctions will go live. Obviously, if you're listening to this will be in the past, potentially. But for those who are listening to this before they go live, they're going live on Wednesday, December 3rd on Gamma, and the auctions will run for 48 hours. So excited to see, who collects them. You've obviously made it clear this is the beginning of what's going to be a very limited set, and it may not even get to 64. Who knows? But obviously, these are the first ones that are going to be and also going to be showcased at Suburbs Gallery. It's been wonderful once again to have you back on. Third guest with a third appearance. We've had one which has been a partner artist interview, and then we had a wonderful discussion with some other artists one time, and now getting you back to talk about Noema. Pavel, it's such it's an honor to know you. It's an honor to call you a friend. It's an honor to collect you. I know that you are being humble, and but if there is, anything else that you'd love to share, please feel free. Otherwise, thank you so much for spending the time. I know just how busy you are. We all are, but it's a pleasure to see you as well.
Thank you, Brett. Thanks for everything. I'm honored, and I'm really glad to have this whole Noema premiere done with you.
Yeah, back at you. Well, thanks so much, Pavel.
Thank you, and see you. Bye-bye.